you can be my champion because you're at the table. So my definition, I'm not saying this is what everybody else's definition needs to be.
Yep.
My definition is two things. They can influence budget. They don't have to be the budget holder, but they have to be sitting at the table when the time comes to make the decision. So you, Michelle, can stand up and say, no. We want to go with John's stuff and fight for me internally, right? So they can fight for you internally. They can steal budget, right? The other thing is they agree to be your champion. You legit have the conversation with them.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Ask the Expert Sales Edition panel discussion from HubSpot, focused on how to nail the start of your 2019 sales year. My name is Michelle Benfer, and I am a Vice President of Sales here at HubSpot. We have something very special for everyone today. We have three of the industry's leading sales experts here that'll be answering your burning sales questions. Now, a couple of housekeeping notes. The agenda we are going to go through today was built by sales reps globally and by the people who are actually watching this panel discussion. People have upvoted these questions to determine the order in which we will cover them over the next 45 minutes. The first person I would love to introduce is Keenan. Keenan is the CEO, president, and chief antagonist of A Sales Guy, Inc., one of today's top leading sales consulting and recruiting firms. He is also the celebrated author of Not Taught: What It Takes to Be Successful in the 21st Century That Nobody's Teaching You. And he has a second book coming, Gap Selling, which will be launching on December 3rd. All right, our next sales expert that we have is Lori Richardson. Lori is the founder and CEO of Score More Sales, a sales strategy, consulting, training, and coaching firm. And she is also the president of Women Sales Pros, the first online community dedicated to helping smart, savvy women get into B2B sales positions and to help companies find and develop great women sellers. Finally, our next expert panelist we have is John Barrows. John is CEO of J. Barrows Sales Training. He's a published author and a sales trainer to some of the world's fastest growing companies like LinkedIn, Dropbox, and Google. Well, all of these panelists speak all over the world, so we're lucky to have them share their advice on how to set yourself up for success in the new year. How do we best equip the champion and make sure that they are doing that internal selling when it is just inevitable? We cannot get to the decision maker as early in the process as we'd like to. So along the lines of the objections, when we're working with a champion, how do we work with them as effectively as possible?
Well, I want to get to the decision makers as soon as I can. So I see a lot of reps waste lots of time because they're working with a really friendly, helpful champion who ultimately doesn't have enough authority. They don't have enough knowledge they just like, they're some really nice people to work with, right? And they're fun and they'll take your call and they'll talk with you. But in the end, you can't move the sale forward. You can't move the opportunity forward. So of course we want to uncover, everybody who's involved in the buying decision. And we want to find out as much as we can. I mean, I just think you have to peel some extra layers so that you can ask more difficult questions and you can get further along than these superficial, hey, I think they like us. They really like what we're doing. We had a really good conversation. That's not enough. So you got to go further with that and find out, when John was talking about creativity, what's a creative way? Maybe I can reach them through Twitter. Maybe I can reach them through LinkedIn. Maybe I can post something that they're going to see. But there are different ways. There's not just one set way to do it.
Can I just chime in real quick on this? Because I think it actually needs to back up and define what a champion means.
Yeah.
I think champion is the third most overused phrase in sales. I got a champion, right? How do you know you got a champion? Like they're willing to talk to you? Like that ain't a champion, right? Like, by the way, the first and second most overused phrase in sales are touching base and checking in. But champion is 3. And
following up.
Exactly. And so like here's an example, my definition of a champion, and this is what, here's a tip for people listening. Go back and sit down with your boss and your team and literally define what a champion is. So that when you throw that word around internally, you have a common language and you know what it means. Because I think there's so many variations of that phrase that people get stuck because exactly like Lori said, ooh, I got a champion, when it's really just some person way below the power line that's happy to talk to them.
Well, let me, in this example here, right? So I'm a VP of sales at HubSpot. Myself, along with 3 other VPs of sales, are all assessing a project for next year. We ultimately have to come up with a proposal, and we are going to propose it to my head of sales, who in the end is going to decide yes or no, let's move forward with it. But he is not going to be on the calls and the assessment unless we force him to pretty early on and we believe in it.
And that's why, so you can be my champion because you're at the table. So my definition, I'm not saying this is what everybody else's definition needs to be. My definition is two things. They can influence budget. They don't have to be the budget holder, but they have to be sitting at the table when the time comes to make the decision. So you, Michelle, can stand up and say, no. We want to go with John's stuff and fight for me internally, right? So they can fight for you internally. They can steal budget, right? The other thing is they agree to be your champion. You legit have the conversation with them. Now, in our world, we are very fortunate sales trainers, if you will. Most of the time we sell to VPs of sales. And I can straight up say to you, Michelle, you going to be my champion on this one? And you know what that means, right? It's a little odd to ask that to anybody else, right? Like I did that to an IT person once. I was like, you going to be my champion? And she was like, what the hell are you talking? But you can rephrase it. You'd be like, here's a give-get, right? Like, hey, you want a discount or you want something from me? Look, I'm happy to go do it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to go fight for you internally on my end on that. Let me ask you, if I build that out and fight for you internally, you're going to fight for me internally when it comes to time making this decision, Michelle? Like that's saying, would you be my champion without, because I want your reaction to that.
Yep.
Because there's really only 2 reactions. One is, yes, John, absolutely, we got to make this happen, and this is key to my success here. The other is anything other than that. Like if you hesitate when I effectively say, will you be my champion? You ain't my champion. I got to figure out a different track.
Right.
So that's what I would say is define it first and then figure out how to empower that real champion, not a coach or a fan, a real champion, how to go sell for you internally.
Yep.
And I think the only thing I would add is, and you're going to see a theme here, a lot of our efforts are still focused on the product. So the champions that I create is I help them better frame the problem they're dealing with better than anybody else. So what they then do is they go to the buyer or whoever it is they need to influence, and they don't talk about the problem as much as they talk about the problem, and it wasn't really defined like we thought it was, or we don't understand, or you, person above me, need to understand the impact it's having on you, right? So most of the time when you're selling stuff and you're talking to that first person, everything's going through their perspective and how it's impacting them, right? That immediate so-called champion. Yeah. Not giving any thought about how the problem they're trying to fix rolls up to the next person and how it's going to impact them and how it's going to change their world if it goes away, and why they want to focus on the new business environment that will be created by solving the problem. Not by buying my product, by solving the problem. Because 90% of the time, the person who gets the prospect to agree and understand and frame the problem correctly wins the deal. Not the person pushing the mouse, right? Not this mouse does this and this mouse does this. It's, hey, how much time does it take you to memorize the F1 keys? How much time does it take you to do this and that touch? If I get you to frame the problem correctly and you say yes, and it's hurting me, you're going to buy from me.
Right. And you need to frame that for the champion as well as the buyer.
Yes. And it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
And you can still talk to others in that company. If it's a mid-sized company or larger, don't just rely on one person.
Yes.
A big company, even if they are your champion, whatever that is.
You need to be selling a lot of influencers internally and ask them all to be your champion.
Yeah.
Right.